At times I have been misjudged or misunderstood.
It can be very demoralizing. It makes you feel like you do not belong.
Discrimination will often morph into persecution.
Can you be good without God? Why do you live a moral life?
They're targeting children, maternity clinics, they've targeted mosques. It makes everyday life incredibly difficult.
My grandparents and whole family was baptized in the Church of Jesus Christ in the 70s. Long story short, I was born and introduced into the church.
I would have always identified, probably from about the age of 16 or 17, as being non-religious or an atheist. And I think I started to learn more about it because I was really interested in the idea of the history of humanism and the history of ethical thought, the history of secularism.
I was born in a Shia family, in a Hazara community. Their fundamental values are gender equality, love for education, democracy and liberalism.
At times I have been misjudged or misunderstood. I went to a work Christmas party and people are drinking and celebrating in the way that they do, and I explained that I didn't drink, and they didn't quite understand why someone that's in their 20s didn't live their life the way that they did when they were younger. They felt upset that I couldn't enjoy life to the fullest. When I'm misunderstood, it kind of feels like I'm the only one in the room to explain my situation, which can be daunting.
There are many reasons why people may want to discriminate against people of religion or of faith. Some of them could be because of their lack of understanding and knowledge about why people of faith and religion do what they do, why they dress the way they dress, why they worship the way they worship. It can be very demoralizing. It makes you feel like you do not belong, you are an outsider, and that can't be good for community cohesion.
Misunderstandings that you'll get from people: can you be good without God? Why do you live a moral life without a God? Some religious people will think that you haven't thought about this enough, that this is just a phase, soon you'll turn to God or soon you'll start to believe in these other things. This is something that I have thought about deeply. This is a decision that I've made and come to, just as they've made a decision to believe in a religious belief or a deity. At times that can feel condescending.
I remember running seminars for social workers, and I asked them what were the first words that came into their minds when they heard the word Christian, or if they heard the word Muslim, or if they heard the word atheist. When people wrote the word Christian down, the first thing that came into their mind was homophobic, judgmental, too political, Bible basher. When I did the same exercise with the word Muslim, it was even worse. Suicide bomber, jihadi, terrorist. And when we did the same for the word atheist, I got predominantly positive words like normal, rational, intelligent, one of us. And I said, imagine we were doing this exercise about another area that's protected under the Equalities Act. Imagine I asked you your first reaction when I said the word black person, or if I said LGBT, and the majority of your words were negative. What would we call that? Well, we've got language for that. We'd call it homophobic or racist.
The discrimination against the Hazaras because of their religious belief, it's something that affects all the Hazaras around the world. One of the reasons in which I am in this country is because I had to escape due to that persecution that I felt and I experienced as a Hazara. They're targeting children in schools. They've targeted maternity clinics. They've targeted mosques. It makes everyday life incredibly difficult because that means that people are not able to freely do their daily activities. They live in fear that they will be persecuted.
People should have the right to believe or not to believe, and they shouldn't be diminished because of belief. Discrimination will often morph into persecution. Persecution morphs into atrocity crimes and ultimately even into genocide.
I think it's the heart of the actions of those who violate freedom of religion or belief is lack of understanding. I think often it's a misuse of religious texts to their own ends, and I think it's just utter extremism and just total lack of compassion. There's no attempt to really reconcile another person's belief with theirs.
I feel like people react in that way because that's a different life that they don't understand. The more we explain and get a clear understanding that there are many different religions, there are many different faiths, different spiritualities out there, the more we talk about them, the more we'll be able to understand where people are coming from.
If people have lived their entire lives in communities that are very religious and gone to schools with a curriculum which isn't inclusive of all, there's an education element there that people may not just understand and get to grips with.
As an imam, it is my responsibility to educate the Muslim congregations about the importance of freedom of religion and belief, but also to take a lead in any action that is required to speak out against the restrictions on people of religion or of a belief of any kind.
At the moment, there are very limited efforts by the international community to stop the persecution of Hazaras and Shias. However, there is currently an inquiry which is chaired by Lord Alton and a few other parliamentarians to look into the situation of Hazaras.
If you don't deal with impunity, if you don't deal with ideology, if you don't tackle the indifference towards insecurity, then it ends up with people suffering in the most terrible ways that you can imagine. There are practical things that parliamentarians and legislators can do. They can set up parliamentary groups, preferably all-party groups, and they can investigate situations. We can publish evidence.
What is it that drives people that want to encourage freedom of religion and belief? We all want to live in peace and harmony. We all want our children to flourish and grow up and have opportunity. I believe we can break down some of the barriers that separate us, even if we can't find a common language together, by spending time, recognize each other as fellow human beings.
It's very important to enhance our knowledge and understanding about the other. Until we do that, we will fail to appreciate why people do what they do. And once we've done that, I think we will be delighted to have people of a religious belief and of other beliefs within our multicultural and diverse society.
That comes by people getting together, sharing stories with one another, and then looking for legislative action to build up the case for religious freedom.
Ultimately, what I would really like to see is interculturalism rather than multiculturalism, where cultures actually get on with each other, where they understand each other, where they take part in their celebrations together.
What individuals and the communities around the world can do is to learn about the Hazaras and stand in solidarity with the people. They need your support, they need your help. Talk about the issues that is happening and find the fundamental problems of these issues and being able to find solutions.